Hello and welcome to Forgotten Temples. I'm at Srot. Now then, I want to show you this because it's really caught my eye. Have a look. Isn't it remarkable? Now, what has obviously happened here is it has sunk down, but it has been battered, especially over there on that pillar, by severe erosion. But it's a thing of beauty, isn't it? It is a window, I would say. I have looked for information on this temple, but I can't find any. And the reason I say that this is a window, because it doesn't make sense as a door. And being an enthusiast, one has to apply a lot of logic. Now that is an incredible bit of engineering. And this temple doesn't have an awful lot to say about it. But what it does is it has some absolutely fascinating nooks, crannies, angles that show you how these things were put together. And that on its own, of course, tells a tale. This temple is split into two. There's another one behind me over there. And literally just over there, is the mighty Khmer. And you've got to look at that video. Please look at that video. It is spelled Khohker. It is a pyramid temple. It is heart-stoppingly good. I have fallen in love with that temple. I can't tell you what it is like. Please view that video if you view any of these videos. If you just see one, have a look at that. It is just so beautiful. It has stolen my heart, quite literally. This one, it, compared to Khmer, is forgotten. But that is no big surprise, because the whole complex of Khmer is an abandoned city. It was a city to King Jayavarman IV, which was reclaimed by the jungle, then proliferated with landmines, and now, in only recent times, it's accessible. So let's you and I have a look around. So there is that amazing feature that we saw when we came in. And look at these robust walls. Now, I always wish I could tell you more. I wish I could tell you of the people that came here and fell in love, and betrayal, and I don't know, finance and business. But it's all gone, hasn't it? I mean, this is an abandoned city. There's just nothing left apart from these temples. But what we can see is things like this. Look at this engineering. This is an incredibly large block, but we have these precise squares here. We also have a groove here, you see, look. So we have the groove and the squares. And if we look in here, can you see in here? There's an even deeper groove that easily holds my fist. So we are working in three different planes, 1, 2, 3, to make this thing fit, because in this hole there would have been a joint that would have gone in, 1, 2, 3, 4, to make it secure. Now this is just one stone. Imagine what it's like when you have to build not only a temple, and this is quite large, you can plainly see, can't you? There's another one there. Khmer is that way. So not just a temple, not just a stone, an entire city. And as we come round, we see the same again. Look, there's the holes, and there is the channel along the top there. And there's one over here that's particularly interesting. Look at this one here. You see, here's the channel, and here the edging has been changed. Over here, this stone has been dressed in a very different way. We have a much wider channel. It's exactly a hand's width. We have these holes here, which are a lot deeper, but we have a step effect. We have the channel here, then there's a step out with the holes here, and goodness knows what else, because of course it's buried away. Now, these are just the stones that are apparent to us. And as I say, this is just one temple of the very many in this abandoned ancient city. Now this could be one of the most uninteresting shots I've ever done. So let's just think of it as me showing off my remarkable hat. But it does serve a purpose. It's this wall. I mean, with so much of it fallen down, as we walk around this temple, I need you to remember that this was once mighty. But now it is all but pretty much gone. And from those holes just there, we have, like, they're almost like jade, aren't they, these pillars? They are really, really excellent. They're something out of, you know, a movie. And here is where another room would be. Again, we can see the fascia's being taken off. And unfortunately, look, it's all fallen in on itself. But there is something of interest. Now I need to clamber up here. Gosh, these pillars are absolutely gorgeous, because we've spotted some more incredible engineering. Now, I have done an awful lot of temples now, over 200, and I don't remember seeing these holes in the way I'm seeing them here. They're just everywhere. Now, the strange thing here is there's no uniformity. This was bespoke. It was, you know, built for the one stone that it was going to dress. And when I say dress, that means a butt or, you know, join. But it's not just the holes. Then we have this dugout here and a smaller one here. I mean, it's all rather peculiar, isn't it? And it's only a very short step before it gets even more bizarre. Because, have a look at this one. It's absolutely huge. I'd say this is about 5 feet or so. And in the end here, we have 3 deep holes. On the top, it's even stranger. Because, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 across here. A channel, which is really rather deep, in the center, and then holes here as well. But here, if we look real close, we can actually see the strike mark of the chisel. Can you see here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can actually see the mark of the craftsman. Now, he's giving it a little dent here, but much deeper at the other end. And this tells us one thing. Each and every one of these stones was prepared so that it would marry with another. Each was bespoke. There was no such thing really as a production line when it came to stones like this. And I don't know if it'll come across on the mic, but all I can hear from the jungle, which is just to my right, oops, golly go, is the sound of the birds. Now, isn't this fantastic? This lovely big wall on the left, and of course a wonky door. But alas, there's not an awful lot to say about it, because it's just a tragedy. We just don't have more written down. I look down at my feet. What do I see? I see channels and I see holes yet again. The temple, the builders seem to be obsessed with it. Maybe he was saying, look, you know, there's this technology I've seen that's worked elsewhere and we need to employ it. But he's gone absolutely over the top with it. I mean, you can't take a step or two. I mean, goodness gracious, look at this. Now, this is a huge stone, and that is a deep impression. And guess what's directly opposite is another enormous stone, and yet again we can see those holes all the way over it. It's just weird this temple is a bit odd. I mean, as I slide down this stone, we have this huge block that has a deep square cut out of it, but only at one end. And if we hop on over, look, another channel. We've got a spiral that's come from a doorway, and again these deep holes. But what is interesting here, can you see this? This actually sticks out. So when you're dressing this stone, preparing this stone, you've got to take all this off, just to make this lump here. And that is like a spine. It's got to go all the way along. And then you have to make these holes so they marry up with the piece that links in and connects with it. I mean, it's everywhere I look on this temple, I just see yet more and more work. And here is the final doorway, and there's a few I wish to show you. As we move on, we see the hat has made it here before us, because it does that sometimes. It'll wander off all on its own to have its own little adventure. But I'm pleased to say it always returns. Now, I've knelt down so you and I can stare through this ancient window. But what we're seeing is very much different from what would have been seen through here all those centuries ago, because out there was a bustling, thriving city that held thousands upon thousands of people. But look at it now. Everyone has gone, and every single scrap of their existence. And did you hear what he did? They know Brian down at number 42, you know, the one that sells the meat on a Thursday. Well, what he's gone and done, he's gone over to that new, you know, more Buddhism sort of thing, isn't he? He's leaving the old Shiva and the old Vishnu behind. That's right. I see him at the old Buddhist temple the other day. I know, it's quite the shock, isn't it? Well, that's the sort of conversation I imagine would have gone on through that very window, because nothing really changes. We're always talking about other people, what they do, because in some ways, I suppose, we're always gauging ourselves. And that's human nature. We need to check in and see how we're doing in society. So through this very window, there would have been such conversations. Because we must remember that the Hindu gods were the primary gods, the earlier gods, I think is a fairer way to say it, until, of course, culture mutates and changes. This very much happened in England as well, with many of the Britons worshipping Roman gods, or a variation, for instance, the goddess of water. There really was not a lot to tell at this temple. But we did see some very interesting design work. And if one applies one's imagination, you can hear the echo of those voices. Or at very least, you can sit where they sat. And that will always remain a fascination to me. As always, this has been Mr. B. Please like, subscribe and comment. And, as always, I wish you absolutely nothing but the very best. Take good care. Oh yeah, I heard about him, yeah, down at the old new temple, yeah. Oh, and by the way, you owe me $5. Hello? Hello, come back. Come back, I'll put interest on if you don't pay me soon. Nothing changes, I promise you. I said come back!